Hi, I'm Tom.
I'm Matty.
And I'm Lewis.
This is the Wigan Way, Wigan's favourite rugby league podcast.
He'll put you in his trap, 'cause he's a union man. He's got it all figured out. He won't care what you think, 'cause he's a northern man. He's allowed to speak his
So, thank you guys for joining us this week after round 26 of Super League. A lot's been decided really this round for particularly the bottom of the table, but another good win for Wigan, and that's where we'll start. As we keep saying in the last few weeks, it's good to join us, good to be back with you two lads, after another big win. So, Matty, Lewis, how are we doing?
Yeah, fantastic. Love to win.
Yeah, all good. It was good. It was a good game getting down to DW on Friday, and then we've had some other kind of good games. Like you said, the table's now starting to take shape. One more round left of the regular season, and it's playoff time into the big games.
Well, it was interesting. I was on the phone before, and when I was talking about it, that we were talking about how impressive our points difference was this year. And before we get into the game in particular, from the Challenge Cup semi-final, we've played now 7 games. Anyone want to have an idea of the aggregate score?
The aggregate score. I dread to think. Let's say we scored 30 points a game at least. Yeah. I don't know.
It's tough, that.
Yeah.
We scored 279 points and conceded 50. And then we wonder why our points difference is 70 better than Catalans and 130 better than Saints. them results being 44-18 against Lee, 64-6 against Hull KR, the extra time winner against Hull FC, but then 34-0 for Catalan, 26-8 against Salford, 50-0 against Leeds, and 48-6 in this game.
It's those last run of results though, isn't it? The 0 against Catalan, only conceding 8 to Salford, was it? Nilled Leeds at Headingley.
150 points.
And that Lee one as well.
In our last 4 games, 150 points, conceding 14.
That's it. It's the defence, isn't it?
Massively impressive.
I noticed that. Sorry, I know obviously we'll go through a bit of a try-by-try analysis, but it's just something I've noticed out of the last weeks. That Catalan game, I know we said about it was very big early on, where they took a drive straight from a penalty tap that was like 10 metres in field, and we managed to get 3 in a tackle, hold him up, and almost like bullying teams, rushing him and throwing him over the sideline. Similar thing happened then. I think every single game from then, I think I've seen us like just have no right to throw someone in touch, but just got bodies in the tackle. Happened again in this game against Cass.
Yeah.
Or this one, I thought actually should have been a penalty to Cass because he was off his feet for I don't know how long.
No,
about 10 metres.
This is what led to Austin getting sin bin, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, which we'll talk about in a bit. But essentially, it's that aggression, that determination to actually, work hard in defence for each other, gang up in gang tackles and throw someone over the sideline and assert some authority with your defence, and it's great to see.
It's weird that it's impressive showing you can put 30, 40, 50 points on, but the fact that you're only conceding 6s, you're conceding 10, barely getting into double figures, so you don't have to score 30 to win.
All saying a tackle win you a game, a good defence will win you tournaments and championships, whatever you want. You've got to back your defence if you're going to. That's what wins it. That's the bit where all coaches talk about pride in your defence and how you defend as a team. So it's very, very positive to see that we're getting some low scores and some really good, aggressive defence.
Only got broken really by a scrum this game.
Yeah.
They threatened early doors. It might have been 0-0 actually when they went down the right hand side with some good hands.
Well, I just checked. Obviously, we talked about defence early on and the tackle on Kieran in the first game, and then in the Catalans game. And who was it against Leeds that we defended really, really well early on? Oh, Fields
saved a try, didn't they? Where
diffused that kick.
They diffused the kick.
It was 2 minutes in, and I've just checked. It was 2 minutes in that Fields made the stop to stopping Castleford scoring early on.
Right, so
0-0.
So Fields stopped that try by tackling the man with the ball. But it would have been a try regardless had Sam Powell not busted a gut to get back with the man who was
The inside
support man.
support
Yeah.
run.
So without Powell, because I was saying it's a try unless Powell can save it, and everybody was like, "What do you mean Powell save it? It's Field who tries to tackle him." But if Powell hadn't rushed back and saved it, they would have had an easy pass.
Yeah.
And I don't know who it was, but they would have had an easy pass, and so
That's
Powell
what I'm talking
chasing
about.
back.
Though. It's that effort, isn't
yeah.
it, from Powell? Not
Effort
just to
areas.
rely on Field and say, oh, it's Field's job. To actually chase back, make sure the support one is taken out as well to diffuse that situation. And that those efforts, like I say, they don't win you. Not just these games, we won this game comfortably, but efforts like that will win. That's what's going to do us for Lee next week. That's what's going to do us moving into the playoffs, the semi-finals. We get
The
to a
one
grand final.
percenters that can easily go missed.
Effort
That's
areas,
it.
yeah.
Effort areas, being big in your effort areas, and especially in your defence.
But like you said, Matty, only broken down once through a Jason Gary try.
Yeah, off a scrum, and I'm not entirely sure it should have been awarded. Field made a bit of a mess of a kick, which he's done a few times this year. He tried to do like a slide on his bum to catch it, maybe like a baseball outfielder would do. But he could have just let it bounce.
See, there's been a couple of times this year where I've watched him, I thought, because he's so quick,
Exactly.
he think that
He thinks, oh, I can get this.
I can get there. Where most players go, I've not got a chance. Let's get in the right position for the bouncing ball.
But it looked
His
like
ac-
it
his
looked like
actual
it just
strength.
clean bowled him though. It looked like he never touched him.
Yeah.
It never touched it, and it went through it, like through his legs. So it went towards his own try line anyway. So not sure why that was given as a knock on. They scored off the scrum, whatever. But I mean, we were already 14 points up then, and there was never really like. I mean, you always felt like we could score if we needed to. So I wasn't worried when it was 14-6.
Just when we meant to as well, because we're going to the Wigan tries in a second. But it was a nice move.
I love that move.
You're seeing this a lot more now, aren't you, with the teams? They're taking the scrum and they tend to take them to the centre of the field. Makes it really hard to defend, obviously. You get a quick player who runs at an outside, manages to beat one, you've automatically got an overlap there. If the scrum doesn't break quick enough, which I think Wigan were victim of on this time, it's going to be very slow to get out the scrum. So
But
once
it's
the
the
1-2
half-back movement
passes...
as well.
Yeah.
To feed the scrum and get back to first receiver.
I said this about the Salford Hull KR game. Like, some teams, maybe when they've not been down there so much and they've not had much weight of possession, they don't run a play off the scrum if they get it.
Because it is a risky thing, and we're going to be.
Yeah, and
caught a few
we've thrown
times.
the ball in touch a few times, and all the teams who try this scrum play do end up giving the
Making
ball
a
straight
mistake.
back. But you've got to try it for me. I think you've got to try and put, because it's such an advantage.
Yeah.
If you're in the anywhere nearer than the 30,
They must practice it, because that move that Cass put on was impossible to defend against. There is no, because they executed it so well. There's no stopping it. It's impossible
for me, anything within that 30-metre try zone,
unless you break early.
yeah, anything within that. But then you're guaranteed a penalty, so it's worth
Yeah.
putting the risk on.
Yeah,
The risk is you either think you've got the overlap and get pushed in touch because you don't have it, or it's a handling error. And if it's a handling error, it don't matter whether it's a scrum play or not. That's just poor, in my
yeah.
opinion.
But you've got bodies in motion. You've got a difficult play to execute there, but you know if you execute it, you've got a guaranteed try.
Yeah.
So I'd always put a play on there, I think.
Well, shall we have a look at Wigan's try scorers?
Yes.
The first thing I want to say is, how stupid do we look now? After not putting Abbas Miski in because Johnston and Charnley both had 25 tries, and saying that the sheer weight of tries meant that Miski couldn't get in our dream team. He's now gone top of the try scoring with 5 of his own.
I know, but last week it was the right hand. It's a wonderful thing. If we could have saw into the future and knew he was going to score 5 tries, get a first half. Did he get 4 in first half?
Four
Or was
in
it
the
an
first
hat-trick? I know he
half.
definitely got an hat-trick.
4 in the first half and 1 in the
Good
second.
on, that's good. He's been, we give an honourable mention that he's been fantastic, and he has. And you know what? Fair play to him. While he's scored more tries, he's got to the top of the try scoring chain.
That's 27 now, sorry, and 16 in his last 7.
Yeah.
And let's just say 4 of them were them eating them for breakfast tries.
Diving
In the corner. Diving in the corner, eating them for breakfast.
Yep.
And one was off a delicious kick.
It was, yeah,
almost.
French.
Off French, yeah.
It was a nice try, that.
One probably could have been Toby King's.
Well, yeah, to be fair, Toby King...
Should we have a look at all the Miski tries
Yeah,
while
alright.
we're at it?
Yeah.
Because there's so many. Obviously, the first one, great play, and Miski dives in at the corner. as he's become so deadly from 10 metres out, that he's so strong and fast enough to get there, that it's going to take a serious challenge to push him into touch.
There was one that he didn't quite get.
Yeah,
It was in the second half.
but he started a little bit further out.
I
didn't
thought
he,
you
in
could
the
have
round?
passed it to King, but you're a winger. You've already scored 4 of them. You're on 27 tries, and most of them, let's be honest, have been these.
Yeah, he has to go for the
you back
goal.
yourself, don't you? And
Yeah.
I think it was some good defence that pushed him out. But yeah, he's doing really well.
The second comes from a very, very good Bevan French kick, where we actually brought from the scrum, went left, and French had drifted across to the left hand side, but with a bit of a shimmy comes back onto his right to kick towards the try line, and just isolates Jason Gary.
He did that thing he does where he just drifts along the line and nobody can tackle him because he knows that.
If you commit, he's gone.
Yeah,
It's really good eyes at rugby from French to see that Miski's free for the kick. But it's also really good play off Miski, because as a winger there, you can get a bit sucked into what's French doing and drifting in field. And he did really well to make the pitch wide, keep hugging his touchline, keeping that space. Gary was victim on a ball watching and coming in to try and deal with the problem. And it left the space out wide for Miski to run, point to French where he wanted the kick to go. And it was a really good execution for the try. So it was a good play off French, but also off Miski just to hold his width and make the pitch wide as a winger.
and we spoke about tries off kicks, but usually it's Harry Smith.
Yeah.
Usually it's Harry that does that.
Again, we talked about French growing into that number 6 role.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to overkick. He did it at Catalans where he put one in early for the for Miski's try there.
Miski's try.
That it just, I don't know what the right word is, but it just puts doubt in your mind. That if I fire up and put pressure on him, he's got a kick in his game as well.
And it vindicated your comment about Miski getting one and then he'll get a hatful. And I'd actually said, if you listen back to the last bit of last week's podcast, somebody's getting a pomful. And I didn't know who it was, but Miski was a fair guess. And obviously comes away with 5.
But then obviously Jay gets his customary try assist to Miski again in the corner, cutting out King. And in the second half, Toby King could have scored, he could have fallen over.
He did fall over the line. If he just held onto the ball...
Just after he passed.
Yeah, if he held onto the ball, he would have had a try for himself, but unselfish play.
He sort of spins through the tackle, doesn't it? And
it was like that one at Leeds where Mago and Nsemba combined, and Nsemba ended up falling over the line. And if there was no support, he probably would have scored, but because Mago was there, you might as well...
It's just easier to offload it and guarantee that you get the try, because in that moment you probably don't know.
No, you never know.
To the line.
You got to just offload it and see.
You see a man in space and you've got to offload it and see. But the rest of the try scorers for Wigan, Bevan French, Field gets 1, Kai Pearce-Paul, Sam Powell and Jake Wardle. Jake Wardle's again right in the very, very left wing position near the touchline.
Yeah.
You sent me a text just at half time when Ryan Hampshire came on about Harry Smith.
Yeah.
That we was guaranteed to score all our tries under the sticks.
Well, he attempted 5 kicks in the first half, and he made
4 from Miski's. He only made 1.
He made 1, and it was probably the hardest one.
4 from Miski's wing.
4 from Miski's wing and 1 from Marshall's wing, where he put Wardle in, and Wardle literally dotted it down on the last blade of grass that's green. So he tried 5 kicks from the touchline, and he got 1 out of 5. He gets subbed off, and you just knew that the next try was going to be under the post, and it was Sam Powell's try, where we had some really nice, forwards with hands again.
Yeah.
Soft hands
from forwards. It was Shorrocks.
Yeah, they put Mago. Was it Mago? He put
Yeah,
it's a
Mago
short
through.
ball to Mago on his shoulder. Mago managed to go through, hand off the would-be defender.
And again, we talk about the 1%ers and the tackle from Sam Powell. The Sam Powell early on getting across to stop the man on the inside. Another 1%er backing up on the inside, and he gets his reward with a try.
Yeah, Mago gave the big fen to Billy Eden, and then a basketball style pass.
It was
Yeah,
like over the top, wasn't it?
over the
Like
top
dunked
pass.
it over the top. But
Nice.
it worked.
Nice. Good play.
Mago seems like he's playing with a lot more confidence.
Yeah,
To me, he seems like someone who's. I hate to say this because I feel like sometimes, like, how can you not enjoy rugby when you know playing the sport you love professionally? But I understand a lot goes into it. But he just, he just seems to be a bit more confident. He's playing a lot better. The fans seem back on his side. He had a bit of a tough start. Well, he had a tough majority this season. To be fair,
Yeah.
a lot of people were questioning his minutes, his defence, but he just seems now like he's winning the fans back a bit. He's performing better. He's playing with a bit of a smile on his face, and it's good to see.
You're right with that.
Well-
You're right with that confidence as well. Like he knows when to offload and when not to. Now
Yeah.
it feels like.
He just seems a bit settled.
Yeah, maybe.
Knows his role now.
He's not trying to impress anybody. He's just trying to be Patrick Mago.
Mm.
Maybe that's what he needed all along.
Now, we had a little bit of a brief discussion. I just want to mention it while we talk about half-time. Obviously, we brought off Harry Smith at half-time.
Yeah.
He was sort of the one that no one really thought about subbing off when we had conversations, really. But looking back at it and looking at the decision to rest him, I'm fully behind it.
Well, a lot of people throw an accusation at Wigan that we're a bit of a two-man team, and if you took French and or Field out of our team, we wouldn't be able to compete. I actually think just as important as those two is Harry Smith.
Yeah.
And I think if you were to take Harry Smith out of the team for the upcoming match against Lee, or even worse for one of the playoff games, that would make us weaker than perhaps anybody else coming out of the team apart from maybe those two, and even then it would be close.
Yeah.
I think Harry Smith, so much of what we do goes through Harry Smith, and he is so important in freeing up French and Field.
He is the brain, isn't he?
He's
Well,
the general.
he
He's
is
the
the
general
general,
that
yeah.
gets us around the field. He puts the right kicks at the right time. He organises us. He's a good edge defender. He is, and
His defence has improved.
we've
massively.
talked about Harry Smith quite a bit, haven't we? And we've said before he was thrown into that squad under Adrian Lamb probably because of injuries a bit sooner than the club and himself would have wanted to. He played way
He
too
played
many
so many
games to
games.
start off with at first. So with that comes a bit of a rough period where you do get burned out. He went through that, but he's come on the right side of it now so much better, and you can tell all that. He's still a young lad, but he's got so much experience now because of how much he's played and playing in big games, Challenge Cup finals, semi-finals.
One thing I was thinking about the other day,
Brilliant.
what was somebody was talking about our young players. I can't remember who it was, and somebody was saying, like, team Leeds get credit for playing so many young players or whatever, and they said, oh well, Nsemba plays for us and Harvey Hill and they're teenagers, and Brad O'Neill's only 20 or 21 now. I can't remember if he turned 21 or not. And then I thought to myself, hang on, Harry Smith, Wigan's number 4, he's in his early 20s.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't think that, would you? Because he's
23.
been around for so long.
He's 23.
Yeah, and because he's playing a mature game now,
Yeah.
and perhaps because we've seen him struggle when he was first coming into the team as a young halfback. It's one of the toughest jobs to do when you're a young player. I know it's tough to be a forward when you're a young player, tough to be a prop forward, and we've seen it with some good young prop forwards coming in this year. It is hard to make it, but being an organising halfback when you were only 19, 20, 21 is
A
really
big side,
tough.
like, you know, the
Yeah.
big side, a lot of pressure, there's a
Wigan's
lot of
number
expectation. Yeah,
Think
Wigan.
about the weight of that number.
I
Wigan's
don't
number
think there's
7.
many shirts bigger and harder to wear than Wigan's number 7.
Wigan's number 13, St Helens number 9. End
Yeah.
of conversation.
Yeah.
End of list.
But when you look at the age of our squad, Morgan Smithies, he's only 22.
Yeah.
Ethan Havard,
Morgan Smith only 22.
yeah,
That's ridiculous.
turned 23 this year. Liam Byrne played several years at the club now. He's 23.
Probably his 4th season. Probably.
Morgan Smithies 22. We say Cade Ellis is one of our experienced forwards. He's only 26.
Yeah.
Ethan Havard, who is talking about an England call up, will turn 23 at the end of this year. It's an incredibly young team,
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
but all of them are pushing near 100 games, and that's
Some of
that's
them have
massive.
gone past it.
Whilst we're mentioning young players here, I just want to mention and give a bit of a kind of credit here to Junior December. It was his first game. I think I might have seen his first game starting.
It certainly was his first game playing the whole game.
Yeah. So this is to think he's only 19. I think is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, he was running at blokes, and he's running at George Griffin, Nathan Massey. These are blokes who's been around in Super League for a very, very long time.
Absolutely.
And as those blokes, if you think you've got a 19-year-old kid line up against you that day, you should be licking your lips thinking, oh, here we go. Yeah, this should be an easy day.
June.
This is it.
So
You
is
should,
it
be
just
lick-
19?
you should be licking your lips there thinking this is going to be an easy day at the office. We've got a kid in the pack, you know what I mean? Whatever. It's not Faz, it's not Isa, it's not whatever. And he was manhandling, just could not. Every time he ran it in, he's knocking them back. He put a shot on which forced a knock on. He was absolutely destructive, and I'm thinking he's 19 years. He's not even 20 yet, that lad, and he's manhandling men.
I'm coming back to
Fully grown men.
December because I've got another point to make about it, but I will Sky Piers Paul. Well, just not even mention him.
Yeah. Harvey Hill's same, 23. 1920,
No,
sorry.
1920 Harvey Hill, isn't it?
Piers Paul, I'll just have a quick look, is born in 2001.
Right.
So he's 22.
Yeah. So my point about December that I wanted to make was that we've spoken about him for a few months now, and he's actually playing most weeks. And when we went away to Wakefield, he had like a mad 15 minutes where he was absolutely everywhere, flying around it. It was obviously coach's instruction. And he set up that amazing try with his brilliant run from inside his own half. But when he come off after that 15 minutes, he was absolutely
goosed.
Gone.
Yeah.
He'd given everything, and he'd been on for 15 minutes.
But he didn't play the week after, did he?
No, and at that point, I was fine with it. But this game against Castleford, he played 80 minutes, I think.
I think he did, yeah. I think you're right.
I kept thinking, well, Smithies will come back on for him, but he never did.
No.
And then they brought Smithies on, and he brought somebody else off.
Well, it was 23, 24 tackles, 16 carries for 114
Yeah,
metres.
so
for
it
December.
wasn't an December performance where he was just flying everywhere. It was a solid second rows job.
Yeah.
Not something you usually put at a player who's 19. Usually the 19-year-old is the one having a mad minute and having a lot of impact and then going off again.
Full of energy, and then...
Yeah, it wasn't that.
No, not at
No,
all.
it wasn't that. It was a measured performance, this.
It looked like someone that had calmed down and felt a part of a team, and he wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was just trying to do his job.
I mean, I think when he was having those spells where he was only doing short minutes but impactful, it was coach's plan.
I think Pete saying, so you got 15 minutes just when you go and rip in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas this game against Castleford, I think Pete had said to him, you're playing big minutes at like a proper starting second roller in this division, and then we'll see how you go.
Yeah, I don't disagree. But then the other second rower got on the score sheet, Piers Paul.
Yeah, Bevan French takes a simple option, but the effective one.
The amount of tries, I know we talk about the tries that we score out wide, and the threat of Field out the back. It must be frightening. But that threat of French running, Field could get the ball, he'd pick the right pass and
Miski's out wide.
hit Miski and Marshall.
Try.
That it just it leaves defenders without an option.
Yeah.
And I'm always one for deal with the immediate issue, and if they score in the corner with a brilliant play, they score in the corner with a brilliant play.
You want to ideally you want to force Miski into that outrageous finish.
Yeah.
Because you want to make
You want him
the
scoring on the
window
last
as small as possible. You don't want to make it easy for somebody in the middle to score.
But when you're defending like that, and he's still scoring in the corner, you then go, they're coming this way again. He's coming for his
Yeah, I
sixth.
suppose.
He's coming for his seventh.
I suppose.
And you're going, oh my! If you're Jason Gary, he was the winger up against him once, and the centre on the inside, you're going, he's taking the mick out of us. He's got 5. This is embarrassing. This, and you try and buy yourself a yard to help you deal with that issue, and the first time they're not marked up properly, French just picks a simple pass.
It's simple but effective.
Smith's been doing it all season with Farrell on the left hand side.
And last year we used to go short to open up long, and in this game we just went long, and it opened up short later on in the game.
Yeah,
Definitely.
With that and Semba try, with the one that we scored through Powell, where Shorrocks give a short ball to Patrick Mago. I mean, even Fields try himself. Jay Fields try, where everybody overchased, looking
He
at the
just
winger, looking at the
steps.
centre, and he steps back on the inside.
The-
Just leaving bodies everywhere.
It's so difficult because you just know if they get a chance, they're scoring. And then if I don't press up on him, he's going to skip past me. So I'll sit off a little bit and let him pass and slide. Well, then he just steps and does it.
It's
Too
like
many
you-
questions.
It's
Too
like
many
you said
questions.
then a while ago about going back to French and going long to go short. It's French going into that 6 role. As a 6, you've got to pick the right pass at the right time. You've got to play eyes up. What's that defender doing? Is he looking outside right and playing short? Is he looking inside? Is he covering the second row on the short ball right and going out the back? As the centre sprinted up right and playing the big cutout ball. And you've got to do that. And that's French, like you said, growing into the role. And it tells you these numbers.
And there's something.
His numbers are ridiculous now. He's been involved in like over 40 tries,
They're
either
outrageous.
scoring or assisting.
Well, we'll get the numbers up in a minute just to finish this section. But
It had to have been 40 before this
we
game.
talk about
It's a good
like
40.
we talk about the way that we start games, and you do hear it in the ground that we set up maybe 30, 40 metres out, and Smith will hit Farrell on a short ball, and everyone goes, "Ooh, we had an overlap with Field," or Farrell will hit Pierce Paul on December. French, sorry, will hit Pierce Paul on December early on, and then they do it again, and they'll do it again. And it's the moment that they bite early trying to solve that problem
Yep.
that Smith and French are picking the right pass,
Keeps
and then
them honest, doesn't
Yeah,
it? Those
yeah.
defenders.
and I've said it multiple times on this podcast. I always think if a game's 0-0 after 20 minutes, I'm fancying us because we've got the firepower in French and Field, we've got the control in games. If we've got into an arm wrestle and we're being difficult to score against, and we're punching holes in the middle, you then bring on Mago, bring on Dupree, bring on in December. Suddenly you're getting big bodies hitting holes that people can't commit to. And this way, we did it, like we said, we did that for 5-10 minutes, then we went out wide to Miski.
I think
Suddenly
the other
gaps
one,
open up inside.
the other one that gets a bit of a moan and groan from the fans is, and I still don't know why because we've been doing it for years, is when we'll be on tackle 3 or 4, close to the line, out wide, and a Smithies or an Ellis or somebody like that will just take a drive back in towards the teeth of the defence. And everybody always says, "Oh, pass it out wide, we're going to score out wide," because we usually do. But don't you think they're going there for a reason? They almost run sideways to get tackled at the exact perfect point so they can get on the hands and knees, a quick play the ball, and it's all about how many metres is there from here to the sideline.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's planned? And then we always invariably put a play on.
They're aiming for a goal post because if
Yeah.
you aim for a stick, it's hard to number up correctly on
Exactly.
the side with the full back, and obviously then you can set up one half back one side and half back and the full back the other side, and if he ends up looping back round, you create an overlap. But essentially, they're aiming for a goal post that sets up for then the big shift play out wide.
And I'm going to go back to a point that we made a couple of weeks ago. That is a little bit of the benefit of having Field at full back. We talk about how good his engine is, but you can set up to go right, for example. Smithies do that, or an Ellis do that, where they find a certain post, find a certain area on the field, and no more than 5 seconds later, we're playing the ball and Field's on the left-hand side.
We've scored
Third
tries
receiver.
from that this year where we haven't even executed at pace the block play that we were planning. But because Field has come from the other side, it's just sheer weight of numbers.
Yeah.
Like we've
But
almost
he can do it so late.
we've almost like slowly executed a block, which is never, you talk about bodies in motion, it's usually at pace. And sometimes we've scored. Like, I even think about the one in the Cup semi-final where Field scored.
Yeah.
That was not done at great pace.
But it
That
just
was just
moved people
It was
around.
just sheer weight of bodies. We moved the right number of people into the right place.
And like I say, if you're the defensive team's full back, and you've gone right, and Smithies has got tackled, and you're counting your numbers up, and you counted up right, obviously you're in the defensive line. You're trying to deal with the immediate issue near the sticks, and suddenly Field just gets on his back, or French just gets on his back and gets to the other side of the field as second or third receiver.
It feels like in the NRL, a lot more tries are scored by second rows and centres because people don't bite in. They do tend to play like the wingers tend to defend wide, whereas in this country, it's almost like jam in, next man jams in, next man jams in, and it's like the block play works and the winger gets in.
Do you think that's
It's a bit
more
of a
because of the
difference.
skill level? That
I think it's just the power of some second rowers
yeah,
and some centres, where it's like, just give me a crash ball and I'll score
yeah.
because I need 3 bodies on me. Whereas
So
we
I
don't
always,
have that.
I always get the feeling that when I watch the NRL, you very rarely see the ball thrown out of play, or a bad pass to your winger for him to get in the corner.
They very often go for the short ball,
But they do.
the crash ball, and the wingers are they're good finishers, but it's usually
While you've gone down that road, you look at the top teams this year, Wigan, Saints and Catalans. They are 3 teams that use their second rows and their centres very effectively.
yeah.
When you look at Saints with Hurrell and Percival, and the second rows of Sirinen and Metaltia or Batchelor when he's been fit. Catalans with Whitley, Kieran, Segier and Ikavalu for spells.
Yeah.
That they punch holes at big gaps, and I feel like it's almost an underused thing in this.
No, I think it is underused in this league. I think there's a tendency in this country to just give it to the winger, see if the winger can score. And I know we talk all the time about we have got a lot of tries from our wingers, but that's through keeping the defence honest inside.
Well, that's it. You set up from, don't you? Like you say, you hit the short ball maybe 3 times, and people, well, it's not working. Well, no, it's not. What we're doing is getting them by teams. With the play we do go out the back, we've got the space there because we've hit them on the short ball.
And then as soon as that works, you're laughing then because you've got option of doing both.
Well, that's it.
And the defence are just second guessing themselves all the time.
Exactly.
That's why we've seen so many tries for Farrell, and we've seen tries
For Wardle.
and King, and in this game now, Pierce Paul strolled in.
I just always get that feeling of it's not working yet, but we're not playing that play for now. We're playing it for in 10 minutes' time when we come back in this same position, and they don't know which way to go.
Exactly.
We said obviously about Fields' try, but the last one to really mention is Bevan French's. Nearly throws the ball out of his own hands, running that quick.
He ran too fast for Billy Eden, and he ran too fast for himself, really.
Billy Eden got nowhere near him on this one.
No, he never. I mean, I
It
feel
was
for him.
never going to be no. Yeah, well, you don't
really
want to see
feel-
Bevan French
no.
in full pace at you, and your
I really
job is to
feel for
tackle
him. Bevan French is running at you full pace. Jayfield is next to him. You've just been put into the ground by Patrick Mago. I really feel for him, and you're a winger as well. But most of your career you've been a winger, because the whole Billy Eden thing never really worked out. So it's just such a terrible position to be in.
Like, what do you do?
What do you do?
Because even if you fully commit to him,
He'll still probably score.
he'll still probably score, but then he might just drop it to field.
Yeah, I think you probably just go and try and smash French and then see what happens.
Yeah.
That's probably the smart thing to do, isn't it? You've nothing else you can do.
But that wraps up that game, really. I was just having a look while we were discussing then about the meters made, and obviously we look at our back 5 more than anyone of Field, French, both making 130 and 120 metres. So did Marshall. Toby King making 74 and Wardle making 73. Abbas Miski making 122 metres. But then you go into the forwards of... It sounds mental to say this, but Cade Ellis, Tyler Dupree, Patrick Mago and Junior December all making over 110 metres.
Yeah.
And then Harvey Hill making 92 metres. Shorrock's making 72 off 11 carries.
Yeah.
Piers Paul making 6 carries for 53 metres, but making 31 tackles. It's an immense work rate, that.
We've spoken quite a few weeks in a row now about the forwards, and you got to give Bevan French credit for the way he's transformed himself into this running standoff that can deliver dimes, but the forwards are giving him a great platform.
Yeah, and it's...
And Powell and O'Neill are giving him a great platform.
But you give players platforms and they'll perform. Everyone was critical of Harry Smith for a long time for not... what's the word? For struggling, and when we struggled in 2020 and 2021,
he was probably guilty of forcing it, but
we didn't have
yeah.
that. We didn't have the pack to compete with it.
We are now we're reaping the rewards of going through that tough period, because that pack was still the same pack, but obviously we're a lot younger.
Yeah.
Smithies,
and we've added Dupree and Ellison.
Burns. Yeah, we've had additions which have made us stronger. But those kids now, who were kids then, like you say, now they're still kids, they're still young, but they're better because they've been through that. We had to persevere and say it was going to be tough, but the club was probably saying, but although we do need additions to strengthen it, in 3 years' time, these lads are going to know what they're doing because they've been through that development.
They've had guys like Singleton and Cooper to learn from.
Yeah.
Two completely different props that have both had good careers.
I know his spell here, but Burgess, the experience
Even
that he would have brought.
yeah, even that in a tough year.
How to deal with injuries, and you talk to anyone at the club how Burgess tried to deal with his injuries and was trying to get back match fit. Obviously, it didn't work, but that experience of what to do and how to get your body right.
Yeah, I think they will have learned a lot from these guys, and even just saying that, then Burgess, Single, and Mike Cooper, they're three completely different props.
Very different types of players.
And you're probably going to be into one of those three moulds, and for you to be able to learn from someone like that who's had a great career, all three of them have had decent careers, to be able to learn from them while
things.
Exactly. While you're still young, I think it's been a real help for them. And obviously they've got Sean O'Loughlin, who was
He was still playing at the time when he first came in.
Yeah,
and
he was still playing
into the mentoring role.
Has gone into more of a coaching role. So I do think that our forwards, yes, they've had every chance because we're going to set them up to succeed, but they've taken it by the horns. They've done really, really well.
Now, just before we wrap up this Wigan section, should we have a look at the tries and assists for the back seven?
I do want to talk about Ryan Hampshire, but yeah, you do that now.
Field, 15 tries and 19 try assists.
Yeah.
Including being off for 8 weeks. Like a teacher, really. 8 weeks off.
Oh, man, yeah, 6.
Abbas with 27 tries and 5 assists.
Didn't all them come in one game?
Well, 27 tries?
No. The league game, didn't he put a few...
I think he got 3...
He got 3 or 4 assists in that league game where he put on a couple of tries from kicks. Remember that kick where he completely missed it? The fresh air McFleur, and then King scored.
Yes. But Toby King, 10 tries and 7 assists. Wardle, 14 and 9. Marshall, 20 and 4. Bevan French, 17 tries and 28 try assists.
Man of Steel numbers.
That's 45 try involvements.
Man of Steel numbers.
And Harry Smith with 4 tries and 22 try assists. That's 107 tries and 94 assists. Now, I know a lot of them try assists will come for someone scoring a try who's already on that list. But you're seeing the numbers. Bevan French, 45 try involvements. You're averaging 2 a game.
Ridiculous.
Marshall, Miski are both averaging a try involvement a game. Field's averaging 1.5 try involvements a game if he'd played them 8 weeks.
And that's
we take them off.
Left. They've all got a game left if they want to get some more.
And the guy probably with the least eye-catching numbers in Harry Smith with his 4 tries and 22 assists. That's still a ridiculous amount of tries to put on in a season.
And he's laid on a lot of points with a boot.
And controlled Wigan's game.
And that doesn't count, presumably that doesn't count all the tries we've put off kicks where it's been caught and
been fumbled and
passed back inside.
Scored
a few. French scored a few of them, didn't he? And we've had a few for Wardle, and Miski's knocked a few back. So yeah, he's laid on a few tries with his boot as well.
So go on, Matty, what did you want to say about Ryan Hampshire?
I just wanted to commend him really on the role he's played this year. It can't have been easy coming on just a 12-month contract, trying to prove yourself, and then you only play half a dozen games, not even that, in the first team. He's coming back off an ACL injury, and he's had to be really, really patient. Everybody around the club has said how brilliantly he's done in training, and how he's perhaps been frustrated by how well the first team have been playing. That in another year he probably would have been picked as this 6th option because maybe the French experiment didn't work and he goes back to the wing. And maybe Miski's not firing, and so you can put French back onto the wing, and Cuss' injury means Hampshire's the guy to come in or whatever. but he's conducted himself really well. He's played for the reserves. He's played against the ones in training every week, and he's come in when he's needed to, and he's played really well. And I've been nothing short of really impressed with it, how he's done. And I do hope we can convince him to stay for another 12 months, because he's got to be a valuable member of this squad, I think.
Very professional, isn't it?
He's
just
very.
Come in when you need to, not let you, just get your head down, get on with your training, come in when you need to and perform, which he's done.
And just do a job.
And
That's it,
for a team
professional.
that obviously decided he was surplus to requirements, not long ago,
It must
and
be.
moved on.
You look at Ryan, and he must feel a bit unlucky. The fact that when Field gets injured, he's not quite right yet. He'd only just come back off that ACL injury, and he wasn't quite there.
No, he wasn't ready.
Because he probably gets put in there ahead of Shotbrooks.
He would have played Good Friday alongside Smith. Yeah, definitely.
But he wasn't quite ready, and then Shotbrooks comes, and then it's a question of, well, do we wait until Cuss comes back?
And we win 2 games, and then Cuss is back in, and then
He's out again, but
and then Field's back all of a sudden.
Yeah, for Magic, and it's just before Magic, and it's a bit that break just hasn't happened for him just quite.
No, and I think about the Leeds game in the cup.
Yeah,
This game against Cass, where he's come in, and if you're a backup halfback, these are like the games to play, aren't they?
Yeah.
When you're playing against Cass towards the playoffs, you're doing well. These are the games where you want to come in. You want your backup halfback to come in, give Harry Smith a rest, because he's so important to the team, and you want there to be little to no like changeover period.
but
You want to just come in and just be ready, be fresh.
he's not given Matty Pete a reason to not pick him, if that makes sense. He's just come in and done his job,
Yeah.
and probably doesn't get picked over Smith or French next week. But he did nothing wrong, and you're not saying you're not getting picked because you missed these tackles or you did this. He's just been the ultimate professional, just done his job.
Yeah.
He's been the
goals.
perfect backup, hasn't he? Which is a role that he probably hasn't played so much in his career. It's a nuanced role. It's really a nuanced role to be the backup halfback to a team that's successful.
But
Brad
to keep-
Schneider's got to go and do it next year. It's got to be really tough
But to keep yourself match fit.
to be ready.
To be honest, it's probably easier in the NRL with the fact that they play so many reserve games.
Oh yeah, and because you're playing for a different team and you're part of that team,
Yeah.
and that's how you stay sharp.
We're here. If you're in the 21-man squad, you could be not... the reserves could be playing beforehand. And they don't want you playing and getting injured in case
They
something
might
happens.
not be playing at all.
Or they might have a game, or they might only be playing on the Sunday the day after, so you don't know whether you're going to get picked or not, whether you're in the reserves. It can be very difficult, and the fact that he's took that role on so well, and when we talk about other players, Sam Powell did it for a spell. Ian Thornley this year. They've all...
Joe Shorrocks.
Joe Shorrocks. Have used that time really, really well.
It's a squad game, isn't it? And we're getting now, back into the seasons here, and we're getting a reward for having a good squad where when we have had injuries and tough times, we've been able to put people in and do a job. And that's
Trust them.
why, and trust them, and then perform. And that's why we're sitting top of the table, and we could go next week and possibly win a piece of silver with the League Leaders Shield.
When we
Obviously, we'll see what comes out.
started this season, the reserve team probably looked like Hampshire would have been in it. Miski, Thornley, probably O'Neill and Sember, Hill, Shorrocks, Mago. I mean, I can keep going.
Yeah.
But a lot of those players have ended up playing massive roles for us.
Every single one of them, bar probably Thornley and Hampshire himself, have played 10 plus games in the first team.
Yeah.
Right, that wraps up the Wigan section. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with the rest of the Super League. So, Super League, a lot's been decided this last round of fixtures, shall we say. It's meant that Wakefield have been relegated after a 20 points to 19 loss at the Leigh Sports Village. A game where it was a lot tighter than people thought. I thought this was going to be a runaway by Leigh, but 12-6 at half time. I thought they'd come out and just put the front foot forward and kill the game. But Wakefield doing everything they could to hang in.
They had some fight in them. They were desperate, weren't they?
Mm.
Knowing it was a must-win.
You can never underestimate a side that needs to win.
Fighting for literally for their lives
and for the jobs. Yeah, you can never ever think they're done.
I also think with that as well. There's a bit of fighting for a contract next year. Fighting to stay in Super League. If you're, I don't want to pick on a player individually, but if you're a second rower, a winger, or whoever, and can you get a gig at Hull? Could you be a backup at Wigan? Could you do something to impress and show that you're still Super League quality when you know you're almost down?
I mean, there are a few Super League quality players in there. It's just that, well, I mean, we picked it at the start of the season. There was just such a lack of quality across the board in this team, and some of their better players were towards the back end of their careers.
And the players they brought in are the same. Luke Gale.
Yeah, good players, but at the very back end of their careers.
Yeah, they were only going to get 6 months out of that.
Yeah, so like some of the best players, you're thinking like, what? Ashurst's been fantastic, but you can't keep doing it. Can if your feet are, you drag them out to retirement.
And fair play, but he just looked.
He missed the birth of his son.
He looked tired.
Yeah. So when he went after the last game, I can't remember who it was against, and he left his boots in the centre circle and whatever and all that, because it was his last game ever, and he wasn't going to play the last 2 games because his wife was pregnant. His wife had the baby while he was on the flight home. Talk about the sacrifice he's made for that club this year to not be there at the birth of his child.
It's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
and obviously he's back there now with them, so we wish him well, and hopefully it's a very happy retirement, him and his brother.
He's been a massive part of Wakefield, really. And he always had a blinder against us, it felt like. But
oh yeah,
for a long spell, he led that Wakefield pack in his first spell. And then coming back to try and save a club that he clearly has an affinity for.
Yeah, he was more like an emotional leader on this time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
When he came back this time, rather than a proper physical follow me leader that he was the first time.
But the tries, obviously, for Lee, Jack Hughes, Tom Briscoe and Charnley, Ben Reynolds kicking 3 goals, Liam Hood getting 1 and Kershaw getting 2, with Lino kicking 3 conversions, left the game 18-18. Gareth O'Brien, he's getting a knack of relegating teams and hitting big drop goals, gets one to send it to 19-18.
Well, to be fair, his last one was to save themselves, not necessarily to relegate OKR. It was to promote his team.
But
it's interesting that he's played for so many teams, Gareth O'Brien, that you forget sometimes. Like, he played for Toronto, didn't he, in that short spell
he
they
did.
had in the league? And when I think
Salford, was he at Salford?
Played for Warrington.
yeah, when I think about that Toronto side, because I was watching our game against Toronto earlier today, just a highlight from it, because I was thinking about that 2020 period before the lockdown, and we actually lost away at Cass, and then we beat Toronto at home, and Toronto had some serious players, Ricky Latelli was playing for them.
Yeah.
Matty Russell. They had
Adam Sidlow.
yeah. So they had
Singleton though.
They had
Yeah,
Singleton.
it was Ashton Sims.
Brereton, Ashton Sims. Like, they had some players. That Blake Wallace I always thought was decent. Toronto had some good players, and they were unlucky, I suppose. And now they're trying to rebuild it in North America. But yeah, good for Gareth O'Brien that he's sort of found his place now.
Yeah. But then he kicks his first one with about 4 minutes left, and Lino actually misses an attempt before Lee made the mistake.
79th minute, Lino missed an attempt, and that was it, done. I was walking past the south stand, and I was like, right, that's it. Twitter's getting closed. The Sky game's going on, Warrington St Helens, and then I hear Luke Gale's dropped a goal.
Yeah.
And I thought, where's that come from? Because when Lino missed, there can't have been very long left.
It can't have been a minute.
No. So how did they get a chance to drop another goal, or even attempt another drop goal?
Well, Lee made a mistake. The only thing they really couldn't do was give the ball back. You just think this is shove it up your shirt, take 2 tackles, kick it in touch.
Island,
but they make a mistake, and Luke Gale, surprised he didn't have the first attempt, really.
But it's good. It's always good to have 2.
I know, but you would expect
players
Luke
that
Gale
can attempt it.
of all people on that team to be the one that's got the experience kicking drop goals.
Yeah.
Without Will Dagger there, who obviously kicked the one. Did Will Dagger kick the one against us?
Yeah.
That he would be your automatic go-to. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I think so.
But then obviously goes into extra time. No one kicks a drop goal in the first 5 minutes.
No, I mean, and I had it on the radio.
Mm.
I had it on BBC Radio, and they were talking that it was really cagey, and Wakefield set one up, and they had perfect position off a Jack Hughes error, perfect position, and they set it up all wrong, and they didn't have any blockers, and it got blocked. Lee went down the other end, maybe time ran out or something like that, but as it was getting towards...
Yeah, they both had an attempt, and then Lee got down there. Or I think Wakey made a mistake in the 84th minute, and they didn't get... Lee took a tackle and didn't get the attempt at drop goal.
Yeah. But I was listening on the radio, and they said, right, Lee are marching down the field now. They might have had 7 tackles, I can't remember. They were marching down the field, and it cut out the radio coverage.
Oh no.
And it said, thank you for listening to BBC Radio Sport or whatever. This coverage is finished either for copyright reasons or because there's a technical fault. And I thought it might be because it was too late. You know, because it would have gone over the allotted time
Yeah.
for interviews and whatever, because it had gone into
the second
into
period.
the golden time, second period. And so I thought, I don't know what's happening. And then it flashed up on my phone that Lee had got the drop goal and sent Wakefield down.
So we kicked the final drop goal to win it.
O'Brien
Again.
hit
So
second.
O'Brien again.
Yeah. So
Kicked
Lamb didn't even try any,
No.
which I thought was unusual.
See,
O'Brien
but
tried them all.
I would say O'Brien would be the one to take it.
No, I know, but Lamb was the one who got it last time, wasn't he, in the cup final?
He got the big one, but it went to O'Brien first, didn't
Yeah.
it? And he passed to a Lamb.
They set up 2 kickers, which is what you should always do.
I would expect without
Which is
remembering
what
off the top of my head
Which is what we didn't do
in the semi.
we never got a chance to do that.
Yeah, to be fair, we
In
never got a
the
chance.
game against Hull FC. We never got
Yes.
close enough in the semi. In the game against Hull FC where Harry Smith had that one blocked.
Yeah. Well, this is relegated Wakefield after 24 years.
Yeah.
And Sky put an interesting graphic on. I think I sent
Oh
it to
yeah,
you
I saw
both,
this. Yeah.
of the highlights over the last.
The highlights of the time in Super League, which is from what year?
It was 98,
98, which is the
obviously
year
2023.
we were born with us.
It is.
So they've been in Super League since we were
Well,
born.
sorry, no, 98 was they won against Featherstone to
That was the
secure
first year.
promotion. No,
98 was the first
98
year.
was the first year.
First
And
final,
99
wasn't
was
it?
the first
Oh,
year.
right, so
98 was
So
promotion.
they've been in Super League as long as you've been alive
Yeah.
then? Not as long as
I've never watched a Super League without Wakefield.
No. I mean, I haven't because I was a baby. But
That's
yeah.
demoralising.
But what have they achieved in that time? I mean, you've achieved
So-
a lot in your 24 years. What have Wakefield achieved in their 24 years?
We've both got to a cup semi-final.
What do you mean we've both got to a cup semi-final? You've never got to a cup semi-final.
I've played in a cup semi-final.
Not in the Challenge Cup semi-final.
Well,
Ray Digman doesn't count.
um,
Chester Cup or whatever it's called.
but
Tittersill.
it
Oh
was.
man, he's dog watching on Sunday.
Thanks, lads. Thanks.
I play in that competition as well, Lewis. I'll just join in for this.
But you don't try and say that it's the same as the Challenge Cup semi-final.
But this was where I started thinking about Cass and the comparison. And Cass have got to a Challenge Cup final. I know they lost, but they got to a grand final.
Yeah.
Did they win the league leaders
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
Under
the
Pat
same
Powell.
time? And you look at some of the highlights that they've picked. The 23-22 defeat of eventual champions St Helens.
Okay.
So they beat the team that won it is a highlight.
Is that game one where they beat all those who we had flu?
No, it's not. But they
Oh.
got the 50 points to 10 home win versus Warrington to avert relegation in 2002. They got a playoff debut
Warrington.
in
That's
2004.
40 points to somebody's fighting relegation. That's so Warrington.
It's very demoralising.
That's so
to watch
demoralising.
Warrington.
Even in 2002, it was demoralising to look at Warrington.
So it's 2004 they get the playoff debut and they beat Hull FC.
Yeah.
2006, a home defeat of Castleford in the relegation final.
Yeah.
To stay up. Then we get
That's the one they always show on the Sky, isn't it? Where Danny Ward was playing.
Yep.
I think.
Then it goes to 2009, where Trinity got their first home playoff tie after they finished 5th in the league. And then it jumps forward to 2015, where they won 24-16 against Bradford in the £1 million game to stay in Super League.
Bradford have gone down and down since then.
Well, this is
So that was their last chance.
But let's wait for the next highlight. A 50-metre drop goal
What?
from Jacob Miller in 25-24
Oh,
Magic Win versus
Weekend.
Catalan.
Yeah, Magic
the
Weekend.
March 1st, 2019. Do you want to know why this is a highlight?
March the 1st, 2019.
Tom Johnston got a hat-trick. In 35-18 win at Leeds. This is
They've been in the league 24 years. That can't, the winger scoring a hat-trick can't be on the list of best highlights.
September 13th of September 2019, a 19-10 defeat of London Broncos to avert relegation threat.
That's when London went down with 20 points.
Yeah.
I keep talking about
So far, there's been 3 avoiding relegations. And the last highlight was 29th of July 2022, a 32-6 win at Castleford breaks the jungle hoodoo. After 9 straight away defeats to Cass.
What did you say when we went to Wakefield for the first time last year? When you saw that lady waiting at the
Yes.
at the Pelican Crossing.
There was a woman wearing a shirt saying 80 minutes from Wembley.
It was a shirt, commemorative shirt to celebrate getting beaten in a semi-final.
No, was that not... They got beat in the quarter-final?
No, because if you're 80 minutes from Wembley, you've
Yeah,
at least made the semi. They got beat in the semi-final.
Oh, right, yeah, sorry, yeah. So commemorating getting to the semi-final of the Challenge Cup, and I just feel like that...
And we've got to try hard not to be Wigan snobs here, because we are fans who've seen our team be successful, but that's not a great list of achievements, is it, for being in the league 24 years?
They've never been able to build, have they? And I know what you mean. I don't want to sound like a Wigan snob, but other teams have. Like, just mentioned Castor struggling, who's been this relegation fight with them. Won a league leaders year, got to a grand final in 2017 where they got beat by Leeds. OKR's got to a Challenge Cup finals, one against
Salford.
Leeds, one against Leeds. Salford's got to a grand final
And a
and
Challenge
built
Cup
off
final.
it, and a Challenge
And a
Cup
couple of
final.
semis along the way.
And they're a
I'm
team
trying to
that were in the £1 million game. themselves.
Huddersfield's won a league leaders shield and come
got to
top
a
of the
Challenge Cup
league, got
final.
to a Challenge Cup final.
Oh, yeah.
Hull FC have won Challenge Cup finals. There's
If you're looking at the 12 in there, Wakefield have been the ones that haven't...
They've never done anything.
They've never built. They've never built
anything.
from it. They've never built on.
Fifth
They've never
place finish would have
developed.
been the best they've done. One home playoff game in 24 years is not good enough. Especially when we had a top 8 for so long, where 8 teams got into the playoffs. To have one home playoff.
And you've been in for that. You can't say you've not had enough time.
Exactly.
1998.
In that time, you finished 6th and you got a home playoff game. That's not good enough.
It's not good enough.
Really not good enough for a team to be in there 24 years and basically
And
just
this is
survive.
where I do feel a bit like... I feel sorry for Wakefield fans that they've gone down now, and there has finally been some investment in the ground and the playing facilities.
It's that new stadium thing your dad always talks about.
Yeah.
When you move to a new stadium or you build into a stadium, all the focus goes onto that, and you lose a bit on the field.
Yeah.
You've no option but to.
Yeah.
I do think they could be back very easily. They could be back. It'll be the IMG choosing the 12 strongest clubs, and they could clearly be back in 12 months' time.
The thing with me is they never, for me, like you say, the 80 minutes from Wembley shit, they never carried themselves like I remember when we went, didn't we, for a Challenge Cup game
Last year.
not this season, last year. And we went in, I'm going to go off on a bit of a story time here. But we walked in, there was a shopping trolley just outside the ground as we walked through. We walked into the ground, we went and got 3 beers, there was a Coors pump.
Yeah.
So we went, off 3 cars. Sorry, that pump's not on. All right, okay, just 3 beers, whatever you've got. They went underneath the bar, not even into a fridge, pulled out 3 bottles of Carling, poured them into plastic glasses, and charged us about 15 quid.
And they were on the radiation
For
as well, them bottles they must have been.
Yeah, that's what I mean for 3. And you're thinking, as much as we can laugh and say that's funny and whatever, yeah, you look back now, this is top division, elite level sport. This is the top of our
Professional sport.
league in rugby league. Like, that is
Tom
a
finished
laughing
his-
stock.
Tom
It's
finished
on-
his chips and burger the second time we went and said, "Here, pal, where do I put this rubbish?" to the steward, and he just went, "Oh, on the floor, nobody cares." That was
This
the
is what I mean. And they're in the top league of our sport, which we're trying to advertise as professional. Like you said, professional sport, elite level sport with elite level athletes. Like,
I've always
that
had
is
this
not-
feeling
that's
Yeah.
not good enough.
that I think I've discussed this with you, Matty, and again, I'd like to speak to a Wakefield fan and discuss it from their point of view. But it always feels like they've been happy being the 11th best team or the 13th best team if there's been a 14-man league. And what they've always done is spend way below the cap, just survive, be happy being bang average, or below average, but better than whoever's last. So, just better. So Featherstone, London, Lee for them spells. And if they get caught into a thing, if they get caught into a fight, we'll just bring in an Andrew Fafita. We'll bring in someone to just David Fafita, sorry, to just do a couple of months and pick us back up. It never felt like where do we want to be in 3 years' time? Who are we going to bring in now to be a top Super League player in 5 years' time? And they do lose the quality players. They've lost Lewis Murphy, they've lost Corey Hall, Tom Johnston, but Tom Johnston did 5 years there minimum.
Yeah.
The guy, how old is Tom Johnston? He must be 26, 27.
Might be 28 now, yeah.
So he's done a long time there, and the game's not even got any better. They had Reece Lynn when he was an England international. And they never just went that step further and brought another couple in. And I just think they got Josh Griffin. He'd have been a brilliant signing from 4 years ago.
Yeah.
But now they just needed something a little bit more, and they got him from Hull because he couldn't get a game though. It just seems like it's always we'll just survive.
Panic buy and 2 week loans and everything like that.
Not panic buy as such, but we'll just do enough to survive. Because we're not spending no when you're on the cap, we'll just bring someone in if we're struggling to change our fortunes. Well, this year, Lee have come out and thrown the league into disarray, really.
Yeah, and straight away, I suppose, Lee made their intentions clear, and it was a big gamble, as we've said on this podcast before, signing a load of players onto Super League wages, expecting that they would win the championship, and they did. And obviously that was a big thing for them, and that meant that their recruitment was done, unlike Toulouse the year prior. It will be interesting to see what Castleford do now. Now that they are confirmed to be safe, I expect them to sort of ramp up the recruitment drive a little bit. We see some incomings and outgoings there at Castleford now that they know what division they're going to be in next year. They're behind the 8 ball. Wigan's recruitment is done, pretty much.
Saints is
pretty much done.
I mean, a couple of signings.
Warrington's is pretty much done. Leeds have got things in the pipeline from way long time ago.
And they've already signed Lucky Miller.
Huddersfield have signed some quality players for next year. Hull and Hull KR the same. Casa behind the 8 ball now. They've got whatever's left. Now they've got to make do with whatever's left, and they've got to be better than whoever comes up. I know there's nobody getting relegated as such for finishing bottom next year, because the IMG are going to pick the 12 best teams or the 14 best teams or whatever.
But will another season of
coming last? If you come last, if you're Castleford, if there's a team come up that's better than you, like what happened to Wakey, if you're struggling with recruitment now, I think the only thing going for them is that the teams in the Championship haven't done what Lee have done. They've not gambled on next year yet because they don't know what division they're going to be in. Toulouse,
but
Featherstone
to be
does.
fair, Featherstone have brought in a couple.
Yeah, but there's a few rumours.
It's still got one of the Leilua brothers and
yeah.
Right.
We'll see.
Shall we move on?
Yeah. No, let's move to the games.
The next Friday game, Warrington versus Saints. Obviously, George Williams was missing in for this. That is massive.
They went toe-to-toe, though, for a while, Warrington, without him.
Went toe-to-toe. Saints ran out 18 points to 6 in the end, 12-0 at half-time. Warrington just didn't look like they have any creativity without Williams, for me.
And the big chance they had was at 12-6 when they went down the right-hand side and Benison pulled back the attacker.
Oh, yeah,
and he got a yellow card,
which
was fair. It was a fair sin bin. I think he accepted.
I think he knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
I'd do it,
but it saved a try, possibly. And then
Warrington coughed the ball up.
Warrington coughed the ball up straight away. In fact, didn't they give a penalty away for obstruction?
Yes, it was.
I think it was harsh because I think it was a defensive choice. But they gave a penalty away for obstruction. St Helens went down the other side and they scored.
Yeah,
they scored. Moses Sembai scored. So that was just Warrington. All the wind gone from their sails, and it's all on next week now for them.
This leaves it in a peculiar situation, really, doesn't it? That Hull KR are now guaranteed top 6.
Yeah, so we should probably tie in the Hull KR Salford game into this.
Let's talk about it now. Hull KR winning.
beat Salford 12-0. with a couple of nice tries. Brad Schneider worked his magic for one of them. They dropped the ball over the line. In fact, both teams dropped the ball over the line.
It was a very scrappy game.
OKR did it twice. There were a lot of errors, a lot of penalties.
You know what it
Miski
looked
never
like to
really
me?
got going.
It looked two teams that were tired.
Tired,
That
yeah.
have had a long season, and
Two teams desperate not to lose.
yeah,
Nobody,
desperate not to
nobody
lose,
was desperate to win. Everybody was desperate not to
but
win.
hoping that ideally we could sneak a win here, and then we could rest players next week. But they
And look,
know they can't.
I'd read it wrong last week, and it wasn't Hull KR with the sickness bug running through them. It was Salford, and it is so difficult to win when you've had that sickness bug go through your team in the week, because your plan is just completely out the window. They've cancelled the sponsors' dinner this week.
Yeah.
Because it's just so bad. And that it's so difficult to make a plan against a healthy team when
you're not.
when you've put yourself into a mini lockdown. If you're not trained Tuesday, Wednesday, it just puts you way behind where you should be.
But
And you're not up for the game. Then you've not got that activation ready for the game. So I think Salford were really struggling this game. If they could have made something happen like they did last week against Wyre, then I think that would have been a really top win. But obviously they couldn't.
It was always going to be tough, wasn't it?
Yeah,
with that
very
It was
sickness
going to
bug
be tough
going
with the
through.
sickness bug, and they're going to be now. They're going to be desperate to beat Catalan next week. They've got to beat Catalan, and they've got to hope Ian Watson of all people does them a favour by beating Warrington.
Yeah.
And they themselves coming off a good win. If we want to link these games all together, I'm firing this up for you.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Huddersfield, obviously, very impressive against Hull FC. 52 points to 20.
Yeah.
Some very suspect defence from Hull FC.
Some suspect defence.
They look like a team that want Man Monday.
Yeah.
They want the season over and done with.
Yeah, they were on Monday. I saw Adam Swift was defending against 5 people at one point.
Yeah.
How do you get a 5-on-1 when you've not got any yellow or red cards? It's impossible.
And then I don't want to pick on certain individuals, but there was 3 or 4 tries were
Off.
awful defence.
That try for Ikahihi 4, where he just runs through.
There's one defender who just does it. He just grabs at his shirt,
Yeah.
and then I think it's the centre.
Fullback misses him. Centre.
Tex Hoy does quite well to try and hold him up one-on-one with Ikehipo.
Centre just watches him score.
Runs alongside him.
Yeah.
But this, like tie it all in together, that Hull KR are now guaranteed 5th
Or 4th.
or 4th.
They're going to play Lee, but where? That's the question.
That's the ultimate question now. That they're 2 points behind with a points different change of 34. So depending on the Wigan result, we obviously need to win. But Hull KR obviously need to win by more than 34.
Well, it depends if we win. By
Depending
15,
on the scores.
They
They need that swing, that change.
to be 34.
Warrington are in 6th with a far superior points difference of 80. I don't think Salford can change that.
No, so it's going to be.
But that means Salford need to beat Catalan,
Yeah.
Big ask.
Yeah, big.
with Catalan needing to win
Catalan need a win.
to try and keep the second position, or top 2 should I say, guaranteed.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Salford.
And needing Ian Watson's Huddersfield that have nothing really to play for other than jumping into 8th rather than 9th
Yeah.
to beat Catalan.
Make it look a little bit better for Watson, but yeah. Jake Connor's no-look conversion.
The man doesn't surprise me.
It went over.
I know.
And it wasn't in front of the sticks either.
I know, but
I don't know why he did it. I don't know why he thought to do this. I think he saw that Rugby World Cup guy who did a no-look kick in behind and thought, I know what I'll do here. I'll do a conversion where I'm not looking. And I
but-
hope it goes up. And it did go over to the
I've not seen this. Where is he looking then?
He looks at the bench. So he runs up normal. And then just as he's planting his left foot, he looks at the bench like, Bill Cosby, I suppose. Is the best sort of like thing I can compare it to. And nails it as well.
Yeah, just honestly.
Jake the Snake with a no-look conversion.
Jade the Snake.
And the other one, his teammate, Chris McQueen.
Retirement.
Yeah. We were speaking just yesterday, was it? Saying Chris McQueen's not contracted for next year. What are they doing? Are they idiots?
Letting him go.
Letting him go, and then obviously
We said his standards had dropped slightly from the previous
only
years.
slightly though. Yeah, he's been a fantastic player. They'd
They'd get another very good year out of him.
Maybe.
But I suppose they made the signing of.
You don't know. I mean, you don't know. Because we're looking now at Sam Tompkins and think he could play 2 or 3 more years in a high standard, but he said
listened to them, his
himself
body's broke.
he's listening to his body. Maybe Chris McQueen's listening to his body. He's had a tough career. Played a lot of games in the NRL. Played a lot now in Super League. Played quite a while in Super League.
Not the
4 years
biggest
now.
back row around.
No,
so
he
probably
made
he's
a lot of tackles. He made a lot of hard runs in behind. So
probably won a couple of.
yeah, I think he might be another
Big
one
hits.
that's just listening to his body. We talk about Kenny Dowell, Tompkins. These guys are in the same boat here. They're playing at a high level, but perhaps they are just listening to the bodies and saying, "Now is the time.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing this."
Now, I was going to carry on talking about the table, but I think we should probably do that before we do our predictions later on.
Yeah, good idea.
To stress the importance of each game. But there is one more game. Leeds in Catalan.
How could we forget?
61-0 to Catalans. In the last 2 weeks, Leeds have conceded 111 points.
Yeah,
And
not scored any.
This was
Not
after
scored
Harry Newman did the big shush.
Yeah.
And there's now gone on to concede
It's sort of-
100 and... What did you say? 111
111
points.
points.
111 unreturned points after
Nelson.
shushing the crowd.
I forgot to make my joke last week about being 0 for 50 at Headingley and the Aussies having a good opening partnership, but
Yeah.
it's now 111 for none. So we need to change the bowling. Realistically, Leeds.
oh wow! But Harry Newman again was the centre of the attention. He apparently swore at fans again, telling them to politely F off.
He got yellow carded, didn't he?
He got yellow carded, and the rumours are that he was offering a fan for a fight.
He's just got to leave now, hasn't
Oh, the rumours
It's
Saints.
just got off the rails, hasn't he?
The rumour I keep hearing is
he?
Saints.
He needs a new start. He needs a fresh start. He needs to go somewhere and just be Harry Newman and not be Harry Newman Leeds man.
I think he needs someone that's going to lead him and teach him how to be a professional, because he's getting so much wrong at the moment.
Yeah, it's a shame.
And let's be honest, if you were lining up against him next week, you'd be right into him, giving him the verbals.
It's Castleford against Leeds, and that'll be an interesting game just to see what happens with those two teams facing off against each other. But I really feel for the Leeds supporters. They're a good fan base. They're a strong fan base. They turn out in numbers. Lots of them went over to Catalan for this game, and you could see the hurt on the faces as it started to get.
Also, a lot of them got stuck in Catalan.
A lot of them got stuck in Catalan until about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning. When they were meant to fly home Saturday night, and it's just really, really painful. You think about this, and those fans that put their money into that club, they expect much better because they know it's a rich club. This is not a situation where you're putting your money in home and away to go and watch Wakefield, who, no disrespect to Wakefield, we spoke about before, are expecting to get beat most weeks because their squad isn't as expensive as anybody else's. Leeds are paying a lot for this squad.
Richie
And,
Myler.
and to be honest, Wakefield, with their cheap squad, go out there and fight. And they don't get beat by this many often. Especially not back-to-back weeks. And especially not 50-0 at home. These Leeds fans deserve better. And I can't see them getting it, honestly. I don't think it's going to be a great year for them next year again.
Well, I just look at the squad from this season. The squad numbers read: Richie Myler, Foster Tower, Newman, Nene McDonald, Ash Hanley. That's a strong back five.
It's an expensive back five.
Austin and Caesar,
Expensive.
Aletsky, Lehman, Tetavano, Bentley, Martin, Cam Smith.
Internationals, almost all of them.
Yeah. Bench red: Jared O'Connor, Sam Lasoni, Darryl Orford, Justin Sangare. The rest of the squad reads Tom Holroyd, James McDonald, Morgan Gannon, Luke Hooley, Sam Walters, Liam Tyndall, Lewis Roberts, James Donaldson. And I can keep going into the 30s, but that they're not really a part of what you would consider your first team squad. From this squad so far, they have lost Aidan Caesar, Blake Austin,
Richie Marlowe.
Richie Marler's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, Caesar's injured, isn't he?
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about for next year?
Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Nene McDonald isn't coming back.
Yeah, finding
Leeman.
He's playing this week. Nene McDonald
Yeah, for PNG.
for PNG.
Zane Tetavano won't be coming back.
He's contracted to Leeds. He's meant to be playing this week against Castleford, and he's playing for his country without this club's permission.
The rumours are James Bentley is looking to get out.
Well, James Bentley just signed a new 2-year deal. It was just this week he was announced.
Was it?
Yeah,
I didn't know
Foster and Bentley.
that.
You
But
won't
they're
have seen
also
it-
losing.
You won't have seen it because it was in the pre-match press conference,
Oh, right, okay.
which is not how you announce extensions usually.
Not really, no.
But that club is doing whatever they want to do.
But then losing probably the brightest spark that they've got in Sam Walters. They're losing him. They've lost Cruz Lehman. Liam Tyndall's going to Hull FC.
It's interesting.
We've said it before on this podcast, haven't we? It's not been ran like a top club. I thought it was interesting the other week. They had Jamie Jones Buchanan doing the punditry, and they was asking him some, and he spoke very well. Jamie Jones Buchanan, very open and honestly. Just said we've made mistakes, we've got things wrong. We didn't really get, once the golden era went, we didn't get that transition right. We brought Kevin Sinfield in as a director of rugby, ended up going to Union. We kind of messed about with coaches, with
But why
Agar.
have they let Kevin Sinfield go to Union?
Well,
Money talks.
Money talks,
but
but Uncle Gary's not a poor man, is he?
But this is what they were saying.
The interesting thing about Uncle Gary is he's got his wish now, hasn't he? He always wanted a Yorkshire breakaway league, and now they've got it. It's just
The bottom of Super
positions 8 to 12 of Super League.
But you're looking.
There's a Yorkshire Super League there, Gary.
Sinfield is Mr. Leeds. He's everything that screams Leeds Rhinos.
Yeah, he also is recognisable nationally with the whole Rob Borough thing as well now, in that he is
He's the biggest, probably
a
the biggest
champion
figure
for-
in rugby
a
league.
champion for rugby league, or he was at least.
And then, my issue is I don't mind people making mistakes. Wigan made some mistakes with the squad after Wayne had left and what went on there. That was 2 years. You can't keep making the wrong choices, which is what Leeds are doing.
It's like I go back to, we've said it before, the club being ran is just, it's not being ran like a successful top rugby league club, which is what Leeds, well, I wouldn't say which is what Leeds are, but they're not, it's what Leeds were.
What Leeds should
Look-
What Leeds
at-
should be, yeah, mate, that's the word.
Look at
phrase.
Look at the signings that they've apparently made. It's rumoured that they signed Peter Metaltia.
Well, yeah. There are conflicting rumours regarding Peter Matautia.
But then there's strong link to Sam Powell. Sam Powell would be a very, very good buy for Leeds as a leader to help fix a lot of issues.
I wouldn't envy Sam Powell trying to do that though.
But he can't do it by himself with Cam Smith. You have to get 5 or 6.
This is it. And the problem Leeds have got now is, if you are the player, really, what is attracting you to Leeds? All right, they've got the history. That's the point. Yeah, you're making the money sign at me, but then again, that's where you can get yourself in a bad predicament because Warrington fans for the last couple of years have been, and Bulldogs in the NRL, where you get loads of people who end up going there because having to pay loads of money for players, maybe not the best players, the players they need or whatever,
Wrong
who end up
motivation.
there for paychecks rather than for wanting to do well for Leeds and whatever it might be.
But for me,
They've got themselves now in a very bad predicament where
this is where Super League has an
Bit of a
advantage.
catch-22.
With the marquee spots, you can overpay for someone. The Leeds, in theory, could go and get Jack Whiten. Right, and I know that sounds stupid,
Yeah, you're
but
right.
they could sign him as a marquee signing and it cost 350 grand on the cap. They could pay him 10 million quid if they wanted.
Like George Ford.
You know what I mean? They could go and get
They can get whatever they want. Leeds, they can afford it.
2-3 big signings to fix this problem.
Yeah. We talk about Catalan because I think they were impressive, and it feels wrong to just
Yeah.
call on
Yeah,
Leeds
yeah,
for
you're right.
not being impressive. Because last week we spoke about Wigan being good, and Catalan were good. Kieran hat-trick and about 1 billion goals. Tompkins decided just to drop a goal and take the 2. I don't know why he did it, but I'm
Points
glad he
difference,
did
innit?
because
Everything.
points
Every-
difference, every single point matters, I suppose. I know why he took the 2 because it was at the end of the game, but he probably would have scored again if he didn't drop that goal.
Yeah.
You don't think they were just scoring?
Do you not
every
think?
time
Do you not
to
think it
the
was just a bit of practice? I always think though, you're not kick one for a while. Just kick one in
ball?
again.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Feel it off the boot.
I don't know why he kicked a drop goal. To be honest with you, I'm not going to try and guess what
Or is
he
it
did.
just like humiliating?
It was funny though, and
Just a bit-
he was cooking on Twitter as well. See him. He was tweeting yesterday. He was absolutely cooking some fools on Twitter.
Oh no, I've not seen it.
Yeah, go and have a look at Tonky's Twitter. He was loving it.
Mm.
He said one of the Yorkshire journals had accused him of diving to win a penalty, and he just clapped back so brilliantly. The call of the coin wasn't it? Brilliant. He was cooking on Twitter last night.
Right. Well, that wraps up Super League. We're going to come back and have a quick look at the NRL playoffs and the up the wires movement. But then we'll do our predictions and we'll also have a quick fire through of the league and the importance of each match because pretty much 5 out of 6 matches affect this league's position.
27.
Round 27. Would you ever imagine round 27 were 5 games are this important to where everyone finishes?
I can't remember of 3 teams ever fighting for the top spot. or ever being
We've
on.
said it all this season. We'll keep saying it now, and we're probably saying it next week when the season or the regular season comes to a conclusion. This, in terms of the 27 games being played, has been one of the best seasons.
They were a
Super
drop goal
League,
away from
it's been
a block drop goal away
competitive.
from it being at the bottom as well. Competitive going into the final day.
That's it. It's been competitive. It's been ups and downs. Everybody, for a large part, has had something to fight for. Obviously, this week has kind of separated the table out a little bit, but that story of who's going to make the top 6, the 5th and 6th spots being played for. The Challenge Cup's been a brilliant tournament. It's been really good this year. It's spoiled with good rugby league.
We have.
Right. Thank you, and we'll be back shortly. So in the NRL, there's been a few, another set of 2 teams out this week. So these were the guys that lost in the first round. If you were in the top 4, against the winners of those finishing 5th to 8th, and
So Penrith and Brisbane were confirmed in the semis,
to
weren't
be
they?
confirmed already in the semis.
So the winners of these matches are going to go on to play either of those teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the way that the draw works means that the winner of the first game, Melbourne Storm versus the Roosters, was going to go on to play Penrith, and this was a very, very tight game.
It was.
A lot of history around the playoffs and the final series between the Storm and the Roosters, and the Storm come out 18 points to 13 winners. Tyrone Wishart opened the try scoring. He was obviously in for the injured Jerome Hughes. Meany kicking all the goals. Marion Seve then scored, as you talked about before, Matty, about the centres getting a lot more tries.
Yeah,
The wingers
the wingers defend really wide, don't they? They just don't want the cut-out ball, so the short ball's always the option.
Yeah, I think it was that Jackson Paulo who he had to deal with both Marion Seve and Will Warbrick in this game, and he was 2-on-1, and he pushed out to the winger and left the centre in loads of acres of room. One of them tries that we talk about, whichever option you make.
Yeah.
They go. Harry Grant manages to just make the right option, pick the right pass, and score. The Roosters then score just before half time with Brandon Smith.
Yeah.
It was Scuto from Nam, wasn't it?
Yeah, they nearly scored the
Quick play of the ball, and
he got a quick play of the
on
ball.
it.
But this is literally what Brandon Smith made his name.
For the Storm.
For the Storm.
Doing for the Storm, yeah. In fact, against his old team this time, wasn't he?
And that's where he made his name as the Cheese, being hard to stop in and around that area.
Yeah. That's one of the more unusual nicknames, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hectic Cheese is the full one, but he just goes by Cheese. Hectic
The
Cheese.
Hectic Cheese.
The Hectic Cheese is an original name.
But Sam Walker converts, taking it 10-6 at half time. Nick Meaney takes a penalty for a high tackle.
Yeah, that was Victor.
Victor. It's a
Wow.
bit harsh on Munster, really. But then Lindsay Collins, of all people, finds himself in open space.
What do you mean, of all people? I love Lindsay Collins. I've mentioned many times on this podcast my devotion to Lindsay Collins. I think he's an excellent prop. Tough, strong running, uncompromising, good defender. Everything you wanted a prop forward, Lindsay Collins is, and he's big. So you don't usually get them. usually the guys that are big, sometimes they're not great defenders or they've not got so much heart or anything like that. Lindsay Collins is just the perfect package. For me, I know people talk about a lot of different props, but to me, Lindsay Collins is the best prop. I know that's a big call because obviously Big Tino and
Payne Haas.
Big Jared Payne Haas, but I reckon it's Lindsay Collins for me. Think about when he outjumped the fullback in
Yeah,
Origin.
the Origin series, isn't it? I
Yeah.
was supposed to say that.
He always seems to play his
Origin
best at Origin as well, and in the big games like
series.
this
Rises
one.
to big occasions.
He is a big game player, and he stood up and he does big minutes in big games.
Mm.
I don't think he got subbed off in this.
He's a great player, fantastic prop forward.
Mm.
And this try, he took it well.
He kept his line, ran a strong line, and did what he needed to do.
A great ball for him though.
But then 4 minutes later, Sam Walker, for the Roosters, potential England candidate, hits the 1-pointer to make it 13-12.
Yeah.
This was one that was more opportunistic, really. They had a bit of a play set up to the right-hand side, and as it goes back to Walker, there wasn't, because of the quick play of the ball and the pressure from the inside, they didn't really get out to him. And he, like I said, got very opportunistic. He hits the drop goal,
Yeah.
like he did the week before and won the game. You're thinking they're in with a chance here.
Yeah. Perhaps he thought he'd won it for them again, but the Storm went down the left edge, got close in the last 2 minutes, and I was thinking that they're surely going to set up for a 1 here to send it to extra time. But they didn't. They rolled the dice. They gambled. They knew they would have one more set, regardless of whether they scored or not. So they thought, we'll try and score a try on this set. And
we'll
if they
get a goal.
don't score a try, we'll pin them deep and we'll have a go for a drop goal next time. So I think that was smart, but risky.
Yeah.
It was still quite risky.
Um,
But they put the kick into the corner instead. They were
put-
going for the one.
They put the kick in the corner, and it's weird. You look at the two wingers that they've got. Obviously, there was no Xavier Coates this game, but Will Warbrick, a very, very tall, very athletic man. I think he was not a 100-metre sprinter,
He's a multi-sport athlete.
multi-sport athlete. Out-leaps the winger for
Junior Pauga.
Junior Pauga. Almost steals the ball from me. I actually think the Roosters winger gets his hands to it first, and he manages just to almost one-on-one steal it to score. I mean, he hits the conversion, and suddenly it's 18-13, and it's game over. Really, the Roosters didn't have time to answer.
No, it was like you say, when these two teams meet, it's always a good game, isn't it? Melbourne versus, I know we've had a couple of grand finals, which have been Melbourne versus Sydney Roosters.
Yeah.
When they always meet, they always produce for us and give us a good game of rugby league. So I was looking forward to this game as it was kind of building up to it. So that leaves the Melbourne Storm to play
Penrith.
Penrith.
Penrith Panthers, yeah, that's going to be
It'll be a
good
very
match.
tough game, but there's a lot of grand final history between these two.
Yeah,
and finals history.
Yeah.
the Penrith are looking to get to their fourth in a row.
But they lost the first one to the Storm.
They lost the first one to the Storm, yeah.
The Storm have a very good record in finals footy.
Yeah.
Melbourne know how to win big games, they know how to win
big
grand
games.
finals, they've been there, done it.
They've not
so
been at their best this final series, I don't think.
No,
Obviously,
I don't.
They were
But
really poor against Brisbane.
this week back,
they got away
Jerome
with this.
Hughes back this week.
Yeah, big in for them.
He's massive. One, he takes so much pressure off Munster.
The big question is, are you going to say Melbourne are going to improve from their performance against Brisbane by enough? Because they don't just have to improve to Brisbane's level, they have to probably go a bit higher to beat Penrith. So do you reckon, if we do predictions now, do you give Melbourne a chance, really? If we do the NRL predictions now like we did last week?
I think Penrith win, but close. I don't think they'll run away with it.
I think it's Penrith by 2 scores.
Do you?
2 or 3 scores, I honestly do.
I
think
honestly
this game
honestly believe this. That if every side was to play at the best, I think there's only Melbourne that can beat Penrith. I don't think the Broncos can beat them at the best.
Yeah,
And
I know what you mean.
I think,
It's the pack, isn't it?
yeah,
The Melbourne pack.
but I think there's just something with Melbourne of Munster, Hughes, Harry Grant. Harry Grant is such a big game player.
Are you going for Melbourne or not?
I'm going to go Melbourne. I'm going to go Melbourne. And I don't know whether that's because I have a soft spot for Melbourne or what, but I'm going to go them.
They know how to do it. They know how to win big games.
Yeah.
Now,
So
so you-
game, where is that game being played?
Well, it'll be Penrith's home game, won't it? So will it be at Panther Stadium? It says.
Oh, Panther Stadium.
Yeah.
Why is there all this talk about Brisbane moving the semi-final then?
Because of the Warriors' time, isn't it?
No, I don't think that's... No, it's not played at Panther Stadium, this. It's not. It's a neutral venue.
Oh, is it?
It's ANZ.
Oh, right, okay. I didn't know they were neutral. I thought the home team played.
No, it's a neutral venue. The other thing that... I'm just on the NRL website here. The thing they've highlighted for this game is Will Warbrick going against Taruva, who's a really short winger.
Yeah.
And it's saying that he was at training this week diffusing crossfield kicks. So they're going to pepper him, aren't they?
They're going to have to, aren't they?
You've got a short winger and you've got a strong... Your winger's quite strong in the air, like Warbrick
But
is.
even on the other side, if Coates is back, it's Coates against Toto.
That's another mismatch
Mm.
that Queensland have exploited in the past.
Yeah.
So I think if you're... Yeah.
That's the way that Melbourne win it.
Look for the crossfield kicks for Melbourne.
Especially early.
So the second game this week was the Warriors versus the Knights. The winner of this would play Brisbane. And
this one is at Brisbane. This one is at Suncorp. It must just be the biggest stadium near.
yeah.
Because, I mean, ANZ is technically in Western Sydney, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it is the biggest stadium near to Penrith. And Suncorp is...
But this game was won by the Warriors 40 points to 10. First of all, Mount Smarter was absolutely packed.
It was rocking, wasn't it? Find a seat.
Like all finals games have been this series in the NRL.
Yeah, cheap tickets.
And I think the big
Tickets
thing for the
have been
Warriors,
reasonably priced, $15.
I think-
$15 for adults, $5 for kids.
you can't complain with that.
Why?
can you?
Why would they? not
What's
be
that over here?
Mm.
£8, £9.
10, I think. Yeah.
Well, it's nearly $2 a pound at the moment.
Yeah, it's been really, really.
But the big in for
Pack
the
'em in.
Warriors.
Pack the fans in. It's an extra game. You weren't going to make this money anyway. Pack
Yeah.
the fans in.
The big in for this game was Sean Johnson. Just talks about whether he was in or out.
Yeah, we weren't sure, were we, this time last
And-
week, whether he would play or not.
I think the fact that he was in, how much energy that brought to the Warriors
Yeah, and the supporters.
and the supporters.
Because this was a close game up till
Yeah.
half time.
Well, it was 16-4 at half time, and just after half time, it comes 16-10 when Dylan Lucas scores. But then there was a couple of tries again where Sean Johnson just showed his class.
I think everything good the Warriors did went through Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was involved, I think, in every good player the Warriors did. So
I'm going to say he has to win the Dally M now.
Yeah, I think so.
That performance was ridiculous.
I think Reece Walsh has a conversation, but I think because of his big suspension and his
He spent a lot of time in Origin as well. Missed 3 games because of Origin.
SJ has been probably the most important players at his team.
But you saw it. There was the pass that the Chas Nickel-Cockstad scored,
Oh, what a play!
where he takes it to the line, and I
Wow.
think it's the second rower, and it's just a little feint to pass to his second rower, and somehow manages to drag the ball back
like
around.
delayed pass, isn't
It was a
it?
delayed
Yeah.
pass, yeah.
But he closes himself off so much to be able to get it back there. It's almost unbelievable. It's ridiculous that he manages to do that.
He's got the ball on a
Magic,
string.
innit?
He is magic. Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson.
He's got the ball on a string.
But now that means they get to play Brisbane, the first semi-final for an awful long time for the Warriors. In fact, for Brisbane as well, really. Who are you going to go at? We might as well do this prediction now.
I just think because it's at Suncorp Stadium, they've got that home field advantage. They played so well in the previous game. I get the week off. I also get that Kevin Waters is a really clever coach and he won't let that hurt his team.
Yeah.
I think I'm going for Brisbane in this one.
I'm going Brisbane because I think it's going to be a Brisbane-Penrith final.
I think that's what this year's built up to.
Yeah, I think
I also
so.
think that's what this year has built up
Because
to.
Story's been writing, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And
Like I said, I think Melbourne will get through. For that reason, I have to go the Broncos because I can't see both of the top two not getting through to the final. And if anyone's going to lose, if I was picking a team to lose and you were asking me to bet on one of them 4 teams losing, the Warriors would be the favourites for me to lose. They seem to be the 4th team, in my opinion.
A Penrith Warriors rematch might be interesting with Sean Johnson in the team.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. Should we have a look at the predictions then?
Yeah,
For
we'll
the,
to
for the rest of
Super League.
Super
For the
League.
Super League, yeah, we'll just go straight into it.
So it's round 27. And when I give you each game, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a reminder of why this is so important to each team. Okay, so the first game we're going to look at. I said it's so important, and I picked the worst game to start with. Let's get it out of the way. Leeds Cass. Leeds can cement 8th spot. Cass can try and get to 14 points and have a better points difference than Wakefield, who got relegated.
Yeah.
That's about it. Who are you going?
Well, Castleford's only good player can't play. So it's Leeds win for me.
Can I flip a coin?
Well, you
It's
decide.
one of
You
those-
decide
yeah,
how this
it's-
game goes. So
It's,
on
yeah,
you.
both got nothing to play for.
No, hang on. I won last week. Talking about the Oracle over there. I won last week. Marginally.
Alright.
I'll go.
Is that heading?
Yeah, I'm going to go Cass with Leeds being really low on confidence. I know Cass might not have a lot of confidence in him anyway, but I think Leeds are hurting more than Cass are hurting.
There's not much
me.
confidence
I'm
between
just
these two.
gonna
I
say
know,
something.
but what I'm trying to say is Leeds are under.
Cass
Cass have
have just
kind of
survived,
survived.
yeah.
They've just survived. Everything. They're all right. Okay, we're staying in. Leeds are on a big pressures on them. It's.
Can you
So-
just imagine the atmosphere if Cass win at Headingley?
If Cass got 14-0 up, like 12, 14-0 up, Headingley's going to turn.
That's what
ugly.
I think. That'll be Danny Ward's message. You got off to a good start, and this could turn sour for them
Yeah.
men very, very quickly.
That's true. I don't know how many people will actually be there. That's the only thing.
Well, I think Leeds will bring. I do believe Leeds will bring a few as a bit of a protest at Hetherington.
Do you reckon?
Well, it's got to be at someone.
I thought that
Because
they were-
Leeds have announced they're doing a full investigation into what's gone wrong.
Yeah, I thought that.
But how many times have we heard that before?
I thought they were just going to stay away from this one and not show the support in that way. But I don't know. It'd be
But I
interesting.
don't think that shows protest when you already bought your ticket. Have you seen the ticket holder?
It'll be interesting to see what the crowd's like. Or you could do a walkout. That would be good.
Oh, that would. That's the way
What
to do
would
it.
what would you orchestrate to be the actual signal for the walkout? It's got to be a Daryl Alford's try. If he's playing.
Oh, when he shushes the crowd.
I don't know if he's playing. He didn't play against us, did he?
Right. Huddersfield, Warrington. If Huddersfield win and Leeds lose, or they beat or they both win by more than 20, Huddersfield could cement 8th. Bit of a saving grace for Ian Watson, maybe.
Where is this game being played?
It's being played at Huddersfield.
Okay.
Okay. The importance for Warrington is if they win, because of the significant points difference over Salford,
They're in.
80 points, they're in
Yeah.
at 6, and they guarantee themselves an away trip to whoever finishes 3rd. Okay. Who you going?
I think Huddersfield are going to do Salford this favour. I'll spoil my next prediction in that I don't think Salford are going to capitalise, but I can see Huddersfield winning this game.
Lewis?
I'm going to go Wire. I think
Um,
they're going to want it more.
I'm going to go Wire. I think there's a bit too much emotion around Huddersfield. Obviously, Will Price will be leaving. Chris McQueen will be leaving. They might get 5,000 fans in to say goodbye.
That's optimistic.
But when you've got nothing to play for, I don't see it.
Yeah,
Does
the bigger
it?
motivation's there for
But
Wire.
they had nothing to play for last week and they played really well, but that was
Well, so did Hull,
That was against
who had
the
nothing
team.
to play
Yeah,
for.
I know.
So then, while you talked about that again, we'll mention it next. Salford versus Catalan.
Yeah.
Salford need to win and Warrington to lose to make it 6th. Catalans need to win to try and win the league leaders, but if they lose, they could end up at 3rd.
I think Catalans are going to win, but I think it's going to be close. I can't see a points difference thing happening here. I think there's no point. I think Catalan are going to win close this one.
Yeah, I think Catalan win.
My thought was within 14 or 16 points.
I think it'll be less. I think it'll be within 10.
Okay, happy with that. We've all done Catalans. Salford, Hull FC. Hull FC are pretty much guaranteed 10th.
No, hang on, that can't be sort
That's
of
not so.
Sorry,
It's not
my
fair if
mistake.
Salford get to play 2 games. They get 2 goals.
Saints versus Hull FC.
This is the easiest selection, and it might be the one that I get wrong because it's the easiest. But
Hull FC effectively have nothing to play for. Even if they get the 2 points, they're over 100 points difference behind Huddersfield. I can't see them putting on 90 points against Saints. Saints, same as Catalans, if they win, they give themselves a chance of finishing first. If they lose, probably finish third and have a home eliminator.
I think they'll win and still finish third.
I do. This is the issue Saints have got, that because their points difference is so much poorer than Catalans and Wigan's.
They've not put any teams to the sword like the other two.
They're effectively waiting for Wigan and Catalans to make a mistake.
But very quietly, have you noticed they've won 8 games in a row? I mean, Wigan have won 8 games in a row as well. But at the start of the season when Warrington did that, there was so much noise around it. Wigan and St Helens have just won 8 Super League games on the spin.
While you mention that,
they've both done it with significant injuries in the props.
While you mention that, can I just say, what would happen if they don't make the 6 Warrington?
If Salford sneak past them, I don't think. I just think because of the whole nature of Powell's departure and the whole fact that Chambers was the interim, I think the expectation was to get 6th. And if they finish 7th, oh well, he's the interim anyway, we're getting a new coach. We'll try and rebuild.
Gary Chambers has got such an hard job on his hands because, that's the narrative, isn't it? The narrative is that their season's done with. They are now waiting for next season to get Burgess in and see what he can do with this squad. Powell departures meant that this season essentially has been written off, and it's Gary Chambers has got a very hard job to try and convince those players there's something still to achieve there this year, but it's going to, I think, like I said, I back Warrington to win. I think they will make the top 6, but I think if they get to the playoffs, I can't see them going that far in it.
No.
Right. See, I'm a little bit the other way, I'm going to be honest with you. If they make the 6, they've got too many...
Right, so they're going to go to St Helens and beat them and Catalan. So basically they've got to beat 2 of Wigan, Saints and Catalan. Then meet the other one in the final.
What I'm saying is...
You've got to beat those 3 teams.
They would have to beat them 3 teams. And I'm not saying they can beat all 3, but they could throw something up.
Maybe.
Any team...
Causing up
any team
away,
with George Williams
away at Catalan, away at St Helens.
Any team
Just
with George Williams in can win any random game of rugby league. I believe he's that good. And when you throw in Paul Vaughan, Darryl Clark, Dufty, I do believe that they've got ability to cause issues. A little bit like what I said about the Roosters in the NRL. That if they make the 8, they can cause a problem.
But they so nearly did for 2 teams.
I think they've got a good team, but I think they've got good players, but I think their mentality now, psychologically, emotionally, to try and get up
every week
for this every week and try and almost convince yourself that it's still hard this season with what's going on in the season. I feel like almost they'll be once the top. I think their goal is to make the playoffs. I think once it's there,
and they're only really chance of making the playoffs because of the great start.
That's what I mean. I think it'll be a case of the
We've been talking on this podcast about them being first, and when we set this podcast, they were first for a long time.
Yeah.
And then they were joint with Catalan, and then they were.
But mind the gap. Mind
the gap things, yeah.
But sorry to go back to Saints and Hull FC. I think Saints are going to be too strong. They're a very professional team. I think they'll win, and they will say to Catalan and Wigan, right, it's in your own hands now. If you're on that league leaders shield, you've got to win your game.
I agree.
Put the pressure back on us.
I agree.
See, this is the only thing I don't like. I'm sorry, I'll go for Saints. This is the only thing I don't like about this. Do you not remember a couple of years ago, Warrington played Saints? Warrington and Saints were in a league leaders shield battle. I think they were at Warrington, and it showed the league leaders, and they had it out, and someone scored against Warrington. And it went down the tunnel, and you could see them putting the trophy away.
That was us.
Was that us?
We beat Warrington.
We beat Warrington to stop them winning the league leaders early or something like that.
They still won it, but it wasn't against us.
Yeah.
And they actually showed it was a ball fellow, wasn't it? Showed him packing it away.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so demoralising.
Demoralising. Now, I'm going to go us for the next game that we pick, because there is another one, but I'll explain why in a second. Leave us Wigan.
We haven't talked about Wakefield.
I know. I'll tell you why in a second. Wigan win. Effectively, they win the league leaders and finish top.
Yeah.
Lee win.
They get fourth.
They get 4th.
They also get the bragging rights of saying they stopped Wigan from winning the league leaders.
Yeah.
Shield, which
Exactly.
for Lee,
Oh.
there cannot be any more motivation.
And don't
But
forget,
this
they've not beaten us yet.
They've not
This Battle
beaten
of
us.
the Borough, they've lost to us
And
twice.
it's at Lee in front of their own fans.
Or a sellout. But let me just
I'd
add
a
this
sellout.
next point to it, right? Our next game that we're going to pick is Hull KR Wakey. And I'm going to spoil it. I think we're all going to go Hull KR, aren't we?
Yeah.
If Hull KR do that and put some points on, and Lee lose, Lee could drop to 5th.
What's the swing needed?
34.
Oh, that's doable.
It is doable. So Lee could win a points difference of 34 swing, meaning that Lee dropped to 5th
Yeah.
and have to go to Hull KR in the first round.
Yeah. You don't want to play it great.
The only way Lee
It's
can
all
guarantee
talk about
the only way
Graham
Lee can guarantee themselves that
is if they beat us,
is if they beat Wigan
or they lose to us by a very narrow margin,
and Hull KR just scrape a win.
and hope that Wakey do the same.
But the only way they've got control is to win.
Right, here's my prediction then.
Yeah.
Wigan and Hull KR both win, but not by enough, and Lee finish 4th. That's an extra prediction you didn't even ask for, but there you go.
Okay, I like it.
That's what I reckon. I reckon Wigan and Hull KR both win relatively close games.
I think Wigan's going to win.
Yeah.
Close. I don't think I'm going to blow them away like we've had some blow away victories in the last.
Could I just throw something out there? Sorry.
We're not blowing away 3 times in a row.
No. Can I just throw something else out there? The Hull KR could just take 5th and be happy with 5th and rest everyone for next week.
Not a chance. You get a chance to play at Craven Park or Lee Sports Village, or whatever they call it now, Leopard's Den. You've got to go for Craven Park. There's no greater home advantage in the... Is there no? Well, Catalan, yeah. So there's no greater home advantage in the country. I don't think than Craven Park. The refs give them everything at Craven Park. And they just spend all day begging for a penalty.
I feel like
Begging for a forward pass.
forward.
They just spend all day begging for a penalty off the ref, and he gives them.
Yeah. I
So
think
it's-
it's going to be an interesting one, but I do think, we're going to struggle to blow them away for the 3rd time this season. And I think Lee's motivation will be so high, like you said, the fact that they've not beat us yet, the fact it's in front of their own fans, they can stop us from winning the League Leaders' Shield in front of their own fans. Like
Get a
there's
home
no
game next week as well.
get a home game. There is, but obviously then Wigan's got the massive motivation. They win this, they've got a piece of silverware this season.
Not only that,
A week off.
because if you win,
Oh my God.
you finish 1st. But if you lose, you don't come 2nd, you come 3rd probably.
Yeah.
So you're playing an extra game, and you're playing away at probably Catalan. I know we did it last time.
it'd be away at Saints.
All to
Oh,
play.
Catalan's to finish
yes,
top.
Saints or Catalan, yeah.
Saints
to
in a
play
semi away from home. That'd be mental.
I think I'd rather go to Catalan.
I think I'd rather go to Catalan.
If we finish
It's
first...
definitely a nicer place
No,
to
if
be.
we finish first and Saints go to Catalan,
Yeah. If we finish top,
that's the ideal scenario.
we only have to really play Catalans or Saints once.
In the final, if we make it.
Yeah. So I think we've all agreed that we're going to go Wigan and Hull KR to
We're going to
win.
Hull KR duo. Put that on your rackers.
I'm going to agree with you, Matty, that Wigan finish 1st, Catalan 2nd, Saints 3rd, Lee
League
4th,
4th, yeah.
Hull KR 5th.
No one's going
Okay,
for the big
Why
swing.
is 6, I think.
No. I think Wakey are going to be up to this to
I think
try and
Warrington.
send
I
them.
think Warrington will finish 6th.
I think
Warrington will finish 6th.
Also, our top 6. We are predicting the same top 6 then.
So that means, if we're right, Saints have Warrington at St Helens.
Yeah.
Saints
Lee
have,
and Hull KR is already a confirmed game. It's just where it'll be.
yeah, and Lee Hull KR at Lee is what
We
we'll see.
think it'll be at Lee, but it could be. I mean, that's your 4th and 5th matchup. That's
Mm.
confirmed already.
So if Wigan finish top,
Because Warrington can't catch
Yeah.
KR.
if Wigan finish top, which is the hope,
We should play whoever wins that one.
we should play the winner of. Or do we not play Warrington? Do we not play the lowest ranked team?
What if Warrington beat St Helens?
Mm.
Well, then we would, yeah. But that's
But either way, finishing
if.
top means that you avoid St Helens or Catalan.
St Helens and Catalan.
Yeah,
You don't have
in
to
the
beat.
semi
You have to beat both of them to.
to get to a grand
So
final.
if,
To win a
you're,
grand
if
final.
you're one of those top 3 teams and you come top, you don't have to play the other 2. Both of them. You'll need to beat one of them potentially. Cool.
Wow.
permutations, combinations. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? Friday
It's going
night.
to be a
It's
great
gonna be
Friday night.
And
I tell you
it's going
what.
to be some swings. I think there's going to be some changes.
Why is everyone going to be sat there flicking the phone?
The as it stands ladder will be getting a lot of work, won't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. John Wells will love that at half time. It's going to be brilliant, isn't it?
The only problem I can foresee is that, number one, all 6 games are going on at the same time, so we need extra refs. They've already promoted an extra ref. But that wasn't even the problem I was going to say. The problem is, we're on TV. So our game is going to finish 10 to 15 minutes later than everybody else's.
Yeah.
We could be in a situation
Where we know what's gone on.
where we know what's gone on.
If you were the players, would you want to know?
It's simple for us because we have to win anyway, even if we don't know what's going on. We have to win.
Mm.
So I suppose there's not. I don't think there's going to be a situation where Sean O'Loughlin's saying, "Right, lads, Saints and Catalan have both got beat. Just take it easy." Because that's not going to happen, is it?
Imagine that though. Lockers. Strag everyone off.
It's not going to happen, but I do think that we'll
Jump on
know. So we could be. I mean, the solution, the situation's simple. We're going to have to win.
Yeah. But we then control what happens with Lee, don't we? And if Hull Care put a decent score on, we control whether Lee get the home semi or not.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll be thinking about that.
No,
They'll
it's,
just
but it's
think,
all the different.
But
things that
yeah,
are going
there's
on.
all the different variables.
If you're
we've got,
Lee, right, and you know Hull Care have won by 20, and you're down by 10, you won't defend for your lives, knowing that if you concede again, Harry Smith knocks it over.
Take the 2. You know, you're 10 points down just for trying to secure your home.
Yeah.
There
No,
is
you
a
would
potential-
know.
there is a potential for that.
You
There is
would
a
know
potential.
because
So your
Hull Care
points
will have
just-
finished.
Yeah.
So you're losing by 10. You get a penalty in front of the sticks, and you take
Take the 2 just to make sure you get to.
to take a minute off the clock and get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get to
Could you
like
imagine
down
being
in the
down by
semi.
16 and Hull Care, they're out by a point, and
They
Gareth
take
O'Brien
two.
hits a drop goal.
Jordan Abdul.
You could hit a drop goal
Jordan
losing,
Abdul drop goal when they're already winning by 22.
but you could hit a drop goal. Lee, oh, that's just blown my mind thinking about that. But they
Let's
could
see if that happens. I don't think it will, but let's see if that happens.
be really interesting.
That would be interesting.
This is a proper round of last round of the league,
It's
isn't it?
exciting. It's
It's
nerve wracking.
It's not like last year. There was a few teams resting players because they knew that they were already in certain positions.
I'm
and they
really
couldn't-
nervous for Friday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really am.
No,
but
Don't want to finish third.
no, I want to win.
Can I just say-
I want to finish top.
don't worry that we're all nervous because we're all nervous on Monday, and by 7:45 on Friday, I'll be sat there saying, "There's no way we can lose."
I was nervous going into the cast game.
I-
I'm just nervous every game.
I start the weeks very, very nervous,
Yeah.
and as Friday comes along, I'm like, "We can't lose. We just can't lose."
I'm just gonna assume that we're gonna win, and then let's just
Deal with the
just
emotions
let's
after.
just deal with the emotions afterwards. Yeah. I mean, if we have to play an extra week, we have to play an extra week. I back this team.
I found a reason to make it good in my own head.
I back this team. Honestly, even if we lose this week, I back this team to
Yeah,
to get.
so do I. Well, that wraps up.
We've beaten everybody.
We have.
That wraps up round 26.
Fun one.
Very fun. It's left all a bit in the balance. It's a bit.
So much to happen. We're all on Friday.
Oh,
See
I
how
can't
it
wait.
goes.
I can't
It's gonna be
wait.
so good. This is going to be so good for us Super League Friday.
Right.
Yeah. Chris Kamara can do the Wakey game because he lives near there.
Yeah.
There's been a try for Hull KR, but who is it for? I don't know, Jeff. That's not. I saw Abdul go in, but I thought it was a forward pass.
Oh.
Someone,
David Fafita's walked out. Oh.
Well,
wow.
Dagger's just come out with a with a full body cast and kicked a drop goal. It's unbelievable, Jeff.
Oh, it's going to be mental this week. I can't wait. I'm excited. I really am excited.
It's only Monday.
Oh. Well, have a good week, lads. And hopefully we're talking next week after winning our first piece of silver.
Hope so.
Hopefully
Fingers
so.
crossed, everyone. Fingers crossed.
And we'll see you next week. Thank you very
Enjoy
much.
the game, guys.
Ta-ra.
what you think, 'cause he's a northern